Hi friends, welcome to this session on how to set Selenium automation environment. Um, when I see various videos on Selenium automation, I found that there are a whole lot of in-depth tutorial available on YouTube, on internet, on individual topics like GitHub, Eclipse, Selenium itself, TestNG, Maven, but there are very few tutorials which mention or which explains the complete end-to-end environment setup and running of Selenium automation using that setup. So that's why I thought of coming up with a session in which I want or I try to explain the Selenium automation setup using Java and TestNG. I'll be using Maven project in Eclipse, and I will use Jenkins to schedule my project to run my Selenium automation, and I will use GitHub as a repository of my automation code. I also use the GitHub Desktop as the GitHub client. So how whole this all these tools or the environment work, that I'll try to explain. But before that, I want to have a disclaimer. This tutorial is not an in-depth explanation of any of these tools. No, it don't explain any of these tools in depth. If you want to have a knowledge of any of these tools, then you need to refer to some other sessions. This session, however, is I think really useful to integrate and to know how all these tools work together in terms of Selenium automation. So we'll be using all these tools and try to get knowledge how these tools work together. So what I mean when I say these tools work together. So let's see what I'm going to explain in this session. I'll install Eclipse and configure Selenium on that, easy. Then I'll be using Maven project and I will be configuring pom.xml. If some of you guys don't know what exactly POM and Maven is, you can take a look first and then come back and attend this session. But in general, what I mean to say that I'll be configuring pom.xml like this. In this there are a lot of dependencies. In simple terms, dependencies means what kind of tools I want to install that I can mention in this dependency. It's a very crude term, but for beginner it's good. Like here I explained, I mentioned that I want install or TestNG dependency. Then there is a Selenium dependency. I will also mention the version of each of these tools. I also use log4j for logging mechanism. Then Maven has a very good plugin, in fact one of the most important plugin, which is Maven Surefire plugin, which will give us very good reports. Those I'll be using. I mean to say, in short, I'll be configuring pom.xml, whereby using which I will mentioning dependencies of all these tools, and then finally I'll run the automation from Eclipse as a Maven project. I'll be running the Maven test. I can show you, this is my Maven project, and I'll run this project as a Maven test, and which will ultimately use the pom.xml. Then I'll going forward after this, I mean this is fine, then I can run my project from Eclipse. But going forward, I will configure this project to run from Jenkins. Like let me open Jenkins. This is my Jenkins. This Maven project is a Jenkins Maven project, which is pointing to this project, and rather than running my project, Selenium project from Eclipse, I will prefer to run it from Jenkins. So how to configure Jenkins? To do that, I will show you what kind of configuration is needed for that to run Maven projects, and all these things I'll explain from scratch, right from installation of Jenkins and what things it need to configure. And then easy, we'll run our project from Jenkins. One step forward, I'll be using TestNG plugin as well, because it will be giving I feel it will give a very good output, that means reports. See, say for example, this is my project, and my Surefire plugin from Maven will give me these reports. It will give me text as well as HTML report, even the emailable report, so it will look like same as that of TestNG reports. What kind of tests are pass and fail, and complete stack trace of the failure, those it will give. But few people or lot of people will prefer TestNG report, so I'll be configuring TestNG. It will give a lot of useful annotations and ability to tester to manage your test cases using TestNG XML. So you can run whatever the test cases you want to run, you can skip, and all those test cases and all other flexibility it gives by using TestNG XML. And even it can be configured for very good reports, and it will give output as this one. These are again TestNG report. So yeah, we'll be using TestNG as well. Again, as I said, it is not a complete in-depth tutorial for TestNG. How all these tools work together, that I'll be explaining, and not a single tool. Yeah, then things are done, my project is done. Then how to save it? Using GitHub repository. I'll be using GitHub as my repository, and then I'll be using GitHub Desktop as my client. I can show you here, this is my GitHub Desktop, and this is my repository, my GitHub repository, online repository. I can show you here, which is this one. This is my GitHub repository. I've saved this as Selenium repository, and this is my GitHub Desktop client. So all in all, my project is, or my Selenium automation code is here. I'll be saving that code into my GitHub repository, and push requests will be carried out using the GitHub Desktop client. So that's the flow. So I hope you're getting my point. I'll try to run this project through Jenkins so that you can get an idea, and then going ahead we'll try to set up all this environment from scratch. So let me run my project first from Eclipse. Simply, yeah, it's running, it's reading a poem. It's a Maven project. It will read this poem and run the test cases which I have, and it will show a result. Yeah, it will also give the result. As I have configured TestNG, it will give a result. Now this is a common practice that you are running, but when you have a team, then you will run that using Jenkins. So same project I have set up in Jenkins, and I'll run the project from Jenkins. I'm building this. We can schedule a project as well. It will run, and it will also show a console output and a very good, all these my test cases are running some are deliberately I failed and passed, so that I can see how it looks. It will also give you uh, output, failure and test results, and all those things. It will give Jenkins. Will all these things we'll see how. We'll see. There are a few plugins as well in Jenkins which will show you a trained result of various builds, and you can check out the results as well, pass and fail, what is the error stack, why a particular test case is failed. So to summarize, what we are going to do is we'll have a Maven project in Eclipse. We'll have test cases, automation test cases, fewer pass, fail. Don't focus on these test cases. These are just, I mean, or just for example. So we'll have our test cases here. We'll set up TestNG as well along with Maven, and we'll try to run this particular project using Jenkins, and then ultimately we will saving this project in a repository at GitHub, and we'll also try to pull and push our code into repository using GitHub Windows Desktop client. Few things which I haven't covered in this but can be done is integrating our test cases. I mean, it is possible to integrate our test case repository with the with Jenkins or with our automation. What I mean to say is that when I run my automation from Eclipse, say for example I'm running 10 test cases from Eclipse, 5 are pass and 5 are fail. As per the result of test cases, my test case repository should be updated. That means in this case, whatever the test case repository I am using, it will automatically update as per the result of my automation. I haven't covered this, but that can be done. One more important thing is automation can be integrated with Slack or some kind of Office communicator, and as soon as my automation is run, the Slack can be updated with the status of automation. I have done that, but I'm not covering this in this tutorial. Say for example I'm using Slack as my Office communicator, and this is a channel in Slack. It is called a channel QA automation status. So as soon as I run my automation, the automation status would be updated on a Slack, so that all team members, everybody in a team can see the the live status, what kind of test cases are run, which are pass and fail, and all those things can be seen. But I am not covering these two integration with test case repository and integration with Slack in this tutorial. But all other things like running Selenium Java TestNG project from Jenkins, and updating our code in GitHub repository, and how all these tools work together, we'll see that. So let's see how it goes. I have a fresh Windows box with me, which is Windows 10 box, and I'll be setting up all this environment on this. This box never been updated with any of these tools, so what are the challenges we face, we can see those. Okay, so let's see how this goes. Thank you.